Hey guys, I have a Patreon. It's got stickers and lots of cool stuff. Please check it out. Thanks and enjoy the show. A high school is a type of juvenile correctional facility where the thing they are trying to correct is any spark of childhood light that may still remain in any particularly hopeful specimens. These institutions accomplish this by teaching their inmates useless trivia to redirect the destructive energy of adolescence away from vengeance and into random convoluted mental gymnastics. But high school wasn't always like this. Just a few centuries ago, high school was an elite institution that only the biggest and whitest brains got to go to. Then, in the early 20th century, high school became a good place to shove kids to put an end to all those bad PR photo ops. But at what cost? I'm not supporting child labor, I'm just saying, when the kids were in the factories, at least we got some coal burned at the end of the day. Now, we don't get shit from kids spending all this time in school, except a child obesity epidemic. Just remember, none of this shit matters. The second your finger makes contact with your diploma on stage, your brain immediately starts deleting every single thing you ever learned in high school. You might as well replace the current high school curriculum with Dinosaurs 101. It's about as useful to the average person as calculus. I mean, you're telling me two guys just invented calculus? Sure. The teachers you encounter can really make or break your high school experience. A good teacher can truly inspire you and set you on a good course in school and in life. A bad teacher can become a recurring character in your nightmares for the next 20 years. You can often tell what a teacher is like just by the subject they teach. Turns out, you can judge a book by its cover. Fuck you, English teachers. Math. All the acid they did 30 years ago have unscrewed a few marbles in their brain. English. They all think they're that guy in Dead Poet Society, but are mostly just nice pushovers. Art. Weirdly strict about art. Science. Weirdly chill about science. Language. Just there for the check. History. Just there to live out their authoritarian fantasies. Gym. Also just there to live out their authoritarian fantasies. Just remember that teachers are human beings too. Sometimes they make mistakes, including taking too many shots on a Wednesday, so don't take anything they say too seriously. If you shouldn't take the adults in the room too seriously, you definitely shouldn't take the kids in the room serious at all. Let's be real. Teenagers are feral. God help your soul if you choose to not conform. There was this one girl at my high school who had the audacity to have a book bag with wheels because she didn't want scoliosis, and we sent her to the fucking social shadow realm for that shit. People were so mean to Rolly Backpack Girl and her Rolly Backpack. One day, she just stopped coming to school and I never saw her again. But you know what else was cringe in high school 10 years ago? Anime, K-pop, Taylor Swift. Turns out, no one knows what the fuck they're doing, especially not hormonal morons who haven't even learned what deodorant is yet. If you're gonna spend your days surrounded by these psychos, you're gonna need some brain food. In other countries, school lunch is stuff like rice with fish, bone broth soup, a childhood sweet roll that everyone fondly reminisces on. In America, school lunch is chocolate milk, pizza in a bag, and one giant piece of overcooked broccoli. But guess which country's school lunch system produces the most offensive linemen in the world? Checkmate, nutritionists. Schools aren't just places to learn and get traumatized though, they're also places to do basically everything else a kid of your socioeconomic status does stuff. Rich school? Y'all gonna be playing polo and doing school musicals with a bigger budget than Broadway. Poor school? Have fun in your concrete liminal space. Alright, motherfuckers, now it's time for y'all to hear me yap about my high school experience.
Oh shit, here we go again.
There were lots of unique things about my alma mater. To get in, you had to take this test called the SHSAT. Missed opportunity to call it the SHART. It was located in the heart of Lower Manhattan, forming a sort of triangle of evil with Wall Street and City Hall. And its student body was and is mostly Asian, which is very controversial, and if you talk about it, someone inevitably calls you racist, so let's move on before I get into trouble. Most importantly though, this is a school for fucking nerds. Come on, you know what these schools are like. There's like one in every major city. The kids take lots of APs and are very depressed, but they go to good colleges. It's like if Footloose took place in a school. There are no pep rallies here, no Friday night lights, no homecoming. All the kids do is study and Adderall. Between the homework, long commutes, and pretending to give a shit about helping other people to look good for college, there's scant time for anything else. I mean, I remember my alarm in high school was set for exactly 6:23 a.m., because I was gonna collapse into dust if I didn't get those extra 3 minutes of sleep. Though STI has existed for over a century, I feel like STI and schools like it represent something about our high-stakes modern culture. You know, the typical American high school experience is one that's rooted in Breakfast Club lore and harkens back to a more laid-back era of child rearing. You ever see these old-ass videos of high school in the 80s or 90s? These motherfuckers are having the time of their lives. They got no problems, they do not give a fuck about anything. I mean, look at this shit. Do you think these are the hairstyles of serious people? Back then, the acceptance rate to Harvard was like 50%, and you could put a down payment on a house working part-time as a cashier. But it's a different world out there nowadays. Everyone 22 to 42 is fighting over the last 3 affordable apartments left and demeaning themselves on TikTok to try and escape the corporate grind. Shit is sad, bro. In 5 years, if you do not have a master's degree, the only job you're going to be qualified for is post-apocalyptic scavenger. If you're a parent and you look at the world in this high-stakes way, you're probably going to do your best to make sure your kid has a good education, because there's lots of data about how a good education leads to better outcomes in life. That's why there are fights over who gets into what kindergarten. That's why white people in New York City overwhelmingly send their kids to private school, and why high schools like this exist that aren't just about looking hot and challenging your rival to a dance-off, but getting your ass into a good college so you can get a good job so you can afford your $4,000 studio apartment rent.
Yo, let's go inside the mind of a Greg Jennings.
Like I said before, there's quite a bit of public debate surrounding STI and schools like it, and part of it has to do with what exactly makes these schools so special. Are the teachers just that much better than the teachers at other schools? Does the SHSAT select for the nerdiest kids? Or is there just some magic mist in the air that boosts everyone's IQ and SAT scores? I think part of what makes STI special is the stress. It comes from all sides. The parents put a lot of pressure on their kids because a lot of them are immigrants and they think that doing well in school is the way to fulfill their prophecy of the American dream. The students are so traumatized from being told that if they're bad at school, they will fail at life, that they have developed Stockholm Syndrome with their homework. And some of the teachers are really over the top and think that because they work at an advanced school, it gives them free rein to be assholes to the students. I personally had a really weird time in high school, and I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that my life would be different if I went to a different high school. Not that it'd necessarily be better or worse, just different. I'd have different friends, different interests. Hell, maybe I'd even be a different height if I just got those extra few hours of sleep. I know it's kind of cringy to admit that high school impacted my life, the same way it's cringy for the former high school quarterback to wear his Letterman jacket all the time and hold on to the glory days of high school. It's kind of cringy to hold on to the bad times. The cool, blasé adult thing for me to say would be that I never ever think about high school, and I've totally refashioned myself into the adult I want to be while discarding all the traumas of my childhood. And don't get me wrong, it's true that the trappings of high school don't matter at all. The classes, AP tests, and struggles over popularity all faded away. But the emotions, the feeling of anxiety and fear that I carried for a long time after high school, I think they're all still somewhere in me. I am who I have always been, even if I am no longer that kid. But then again, I am no longer that kid. I've been trying to make this video for a really long time, to say the perfect things I have to say about my high school experience. Like if I could come up with some perfect monologue summarizing and narrativizing my trauma, it would work like some magic spell and cure myself, and finally allow myself to let it all go. But that hasn't happened. All that's happened is I've spent way too much time thinking about high school, when maybe there isn't anything deeper to say besides, it sucked. So what? Lots of things in life suck. Lots of things in life are also good and beautiful and joyful. And I think I'd rather give my attention to those things.